The bet. It was a dark November night. The old banker was walking up and down in his study as he recalled the party he had hosted 15 years ago. There had been much interesting conversation at the party. Among other things, they talked of capital punishment. The guests, for the most part, disapproved of capital punishment and said that it should be replaced with life imprisonment. "I don't agree with you," the banker had said. "In my opinion, capital punishment is better than imprisonment. Execution kills instantly. Life imprisonment kills piece by piece. They're both equally immoral," one of the guests had said, "because their purpose is the same, to take away life." Among the guests had been a young lawyer of about 25 years. He said, "Capital punishment and life imprisonment are equally immoral, but if I were offered the choice between them, I would certainly choose the second. It's better to live somehow than not to live at all." The banker had disagreed. Turning to the young lawyer, he had declared, "I bet you 2 million you wouldn't stay in a cell even for 5 years." "If you mean it seriously," the lawyer had replied, "then I bet I'll stay 15. 15, done," cried the banker. "Gentlemen, I bet 2 million. "Agreed. You bet 2 million, I my freedom," said the lawyer. The guests had tried to dissuade the two men, but they had been adamant. Recalling this, the banker asked himself, "Why did I make this bet? No one wins. The lawyer loses 15 years of his life, and I throw away 2 million. And does it prove that capital punishment is worse or better than imprisonment for life? No, no." The banker and the lawyer had signed an agreement, which laid down the rules. The lawyer must undergo his imprisonment in a room in the banker's garden. He would not leave the room, see any person, hear human voices, nor receive letters and newspapers. He could eat and drink whatever he pleased, have a musical instrument, read books, and write. He would communicate his needs by means of written notes passed through a window specially constructed for this purpose. The period of confinement was exactly 15 years. Any attempt on the lawyer's part to break the rules would mean that the banker would not have to pay him the 2 million. During the first year of imprisonment, the lawyer appeared to suffer terribly from loneliness and boredom. From his room, day and night, came the sound of the piano, and he asked for romantic novels, stories of crime and fantasy, comedies. In the second year, he no longer played the piano and asked only for classic books to read. In the 5th year, music was heard again. Those who watched him said that he was only eating and lying on his bed. He often talked angrily to himself. He stopped reading. More than once he was heard to weep. In the second half of the 6th year, the prisoner began zealously to study languages, philosophy, and history. Over the next 4 years, he asked for about 600 books. After the 10th year, the lawyer sat immovable before his table and read only holy books and the history of religions. During the last 2 years of his confinement, the prisoner read an extraordinary amount, but on various topics: chemistry, philosophy, medicine, and even a novel. The banker recalled all this and thought, "Tomorrow at 12 o'clock he becomes free, and I shall have to pay him 2 million. If I pay, it's all over with me. I am utterly ruined." 15 years ago, he had too many millions to count. Now he had as many debts as money. The once self-confident, proud man of business was now afraid. "He's only 40 years old," thought the old man in despair. "He will take away my last farthing, enjoy life, and I will look on like an envious beggar. No, it's too much. There's only one way to avoid this. He must die." The clock struck 3. Everyone in the house was asleep. The banker took from his safe the key of the door, which had not been opened for 15 years, put on his overcoat, and went in the garden. It was dark, and a cold wind howled among the trees. Approaching the garden room, the banker struck a match and peeped into the little window. A candle was burning dimly. The prisoner sat by the table. Open books were spread all over the room. Time passed, and the prisoner never once moved. The banker cautiously put the key into the lock. The rusty lock gave a groan. and the door creaked. The banker expected to hear a cry of surprise and the sound of steps, but it was as quiet as it had been before. He entered. The man at the table was thin as a skeleton, with tight-drawn skin, long hair and beard. The color of his face was yellow, the cheeks were sunken. The hand upon which he rested his head was so lean and skinny that it was painful to look upon. His hair was already becoming gray. No one seeing the face would believe that he was only 40 years old. On the table lay a sheet of paper on which he had been writing. Poor devil, thought the banker. He's asleep and probably dreaming of millions. It will take only a moment to smother him with the pillow, and no one will suspect an unnatural death. But first, let me read what he has written here. The banker took the sheet from the table and read, "Tomorrow at 12 o'clock, I will be free. Before I leave this room and see the sun, I think it necessary to say a few words to you. I declare to you that I despise freedom, life, health, and all that your books call the blessings of the world. For 15 years, I have diligently studied earthly life. True, I saw neither the earth nor the people, but in your books I sang songs, hunted deer, climbed mountains, and saw from there how the sun rose in the morning. I threw myself into bottomless valleys, worked miracles, conquered whole countries. I despise your books, despise all worldly blessings and wisdom. Everything is void, frail, visionary, and delusive as a mirage. Though you be proud and wise and beautiful, yet will death wipe you from the face of the earth. To show you my contempt, I give up my right to the 2 million which I once dreamed of, and which I now despise. I shall come out from here 5 minutes before time, and thus break the agreement." The banker put the sheet on the table, kissed the head of the lawyer, and went out of the room. Never at any other time, not even after his terrible losses, had he felt such contempt for himself as now. Coming home, he lay down on his bed, but agitation and tears kept him awake all night. The next morning, the watchman came running to report that he had seen the prisoner climb out through the window into the garden. He had gone to the gate and disappeared. The banker instantly went with his servants and established the escape of his prisoner. To avoid unnecessary rumors, he took the paper with the renunciation from the table and, on his return, locked it in his safe.